Regular physical activity is one of the most important things we can do for our health. It may be especially beneficial for pregnant and parenting women with histories of trauma and violence, particularly those living in marginalizing circumstances. And yet, these are the very people who experience many barriers to participating in physical activity programs.
The number one barrier I face for anything I do is, can my kid come? Or is there is there childcare?
Having low incomes, it's very expensive to go into the gym.
An additional barrier is, co-ed spaces. A lot of women who have histories of trauma and violence don't feel comfortable working out in a gym with men.
Recognizing these barriers is the first step to promoting equitable access to physical activity.
Okay, we can go.
We set out to pilot a trauma and violence-informed physical activity program for women, or what we call TVIPA. Taking Steps, Warrior Women's Wellness, was designed for and with pregnant and/or parenting women with lived experiences of trauma, racism, and substance use. It was implemented in Vancouver, British Columbia's downtown east side, a neighborhood that experiences a high rate of poverty, substance use, and homelessness. Guided by feminist participatory action research methods and the 4 tenets of trauma-informed care, we worked to address the power imbalances and inequities that mainstream physical activity programs impose.
Really nice work, everybody.
More than 100 women took part in the activities, and close to 60 of these women participated in a year-long research study. We learned that over 90% of participants experienced discrimination in the prior 6 months. 75% of the women lived in socially supported housing, and the vast majority of the women were receiving supports for substance use. Here's how we implemented the 4 principles of a trauma-informed approach in the Taking Steps program. An advisory board made up of women from the community co-led the project. They recognized the importance of ensuring trauma awareness among all those involved in programming. We developed a training program and resources for instructors and staff that collaborated with our project in an effort to teach them how to apply the 4 tenets of TVIPA.
So for each of these principles, we decided to break it down into responsibilities of an organization and then things that individuals can actually do.
These sessions were conducted by a researcher, community organization member, and an advisory board member. In an effort to create a safe and trustworthy environment, we built and tapped into community partnerships with organizations who worked directly with women in the downtown east side. Their support and participation was integral to building trust with the community and greatly impacted program and research participation. Additionally, all activities were hosted in locations familiar to participants, or we mapped out clear and predictable walking routes through the neighborhood to ensure women felt comfortable. New volunteers and instructors were invited to shadow the group prior to leading their own class, giving participants and instructors an opportunity to familiarize themselves with each other. One of our first steps was to conduct interviews and focus groups with service providers and women in the community to understand their experiences accessing physical activity. The advisory board also provided guidance and feedback at every stage of the research process and program development. In this way, our program was developed by women, for women, and tailored to the community context. A crucial element was that women could attend with children. To do this, we offered child-friendly activities or provided childcare on site. We also communicated to instructors the importance of allowing participants to show up late, to offer variations for physical activities and positions, support personal decision-making, and ensure non-judgmental responses.
Together, forward or backward, whatever you're more comfortable with. How did that feel?
We aimed to promote self-regulation and resiliency by building on the women's existing strengths and expertise. Where possible, community members were invited to be leaders, participants, advisors, and informants on their experiences and barriers to physical activity.
As a community-based researcher, it's essential to take time to build partnerships and to relinquish the role of expert and become an equally contributing team member to constantly challenge power differentials, engage in self-reflection, have humility, and ensure that the needs of the community are always the priority, even if these don't align with funding and academic deadlines.
It was really great to be able to witness the true reciprocal nature of being in a community-centered project that was guided by an advisory board made up of community members. And this is so important because the Downtown Eastside is known to be over-researched, and our program wouldn't have had the funds or the momentum to start a physical activity program for our clients. But all of the incentives that came with the research process really created an unprecedented buzz around the community that was really exciting to be a part of. And on the other hand, I think that if our program wasn't as invested and as excited about this research project, I don't think the women would have been as willing to participate.
As a member of the advisory board, my participation in this community-based research was an opportunity to have my voice heard and to share my reality. It was empowering to see the programming being adapted to our suggestions, and it offered us a newfound sense of self-confidence. I've noticed that in myself and a lot of the other women.
Adopting a trauma-informed approach is not linear. In our experience, it's an iterative process that requires constant course correction based on ongoing assessment and communication with participants and the community. Initiatives to create TVIPA must focus on system-level changes necessary to deliver equitable programs, rather than relying on just changing individual practices.
And training such as this.
Finally, it's important to note that anyone can benefit from a TVIPA program. It has the potential to improve physical health, mental well-being, and social connections for people experiencing barriers to physical activity.
And we're here.
It's safe, and for people that have dealing with trauma, it's good because then you can talk to other women that have been going through the same thing and dealing with some of the similar things without any judgment.
You know, taking steps embodies that we're all working towards steps to better ourselves and to go somewhere, whether they're baby steps or strides. We're all working towards something.